but it's a secret you have to discover for yourself. It's all laid out for you here.
Hold on. I don't know why OBS keeps doing this to me. I'm just, screw it. We'll just, let's run the intro again.
The sky so far away tonight, but I can't lose this one. Get a pride of a falling night. Thought that I was fit to fight for us to be. You gave me life for loving me. Tell me, where did we go so wrong?
Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I am joined by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Gio, who is currently in a remote location in the bedroom downstairs. How are you, Mrs. Gio?
I'm doing good tonight. Thank you.
Are you? Okay, good.
I am.
Good. It has been pretty crazy around here, getting everything situated with a Patreon, getting everything situated with all the ways that we need to live stream to bypass everything that's been going on here at YouTube. Of course, major censorship. The number one concern is being able to speak from the heart and also delivering uplifting, positive messages for people and really diving deep into the ayahuasca realm. I don't know if you can tell, but I've lost a ton of weight over the last couple of months. And, first of all, I want to thank the Patreons. We have about 250 so far. Patreon.com/BTV Tribe. We've only done 2 shows there, and I promise we will keep the content coming a lot quicker than we have. We've been dealing with a couple of things that we want to put on the table first and foremost, but also I have taken some time to really go into the ayahuasca realm and really fully understand what this matrix reset really is all about. So we're going to get into that. And for everybody watching on YouTube, our normal format now is we're going to do part of the show here on YouTube. Well, we're going to do the full show live. So if you catch the full show live, then you catch the full show live. But we have no other choice but to go and cut the archive from any controversial stuff on YouTube, because as we've said before, we've had videos pulled for not even mentioning topics, and still those videos get pulled claiming that those topics were discussed when those topics were actually not discussed. We are going to discuss those topics tonight, though. We're going to discuss everything tonight, but we have to cut it out of the archive of the YouTube live. So you can find the full archive over at patreon.com/BTV Tribe. We're currently setting up our own servers as well, so we make sure that all the videos coming out from Patreon are actually from our own servers as opposed to hosted anywhere else, so nobody can take them down. So that's also in the works right now, and it's a rough time. It's a very, very difficult time that we're going through, but I have a lot of insight into what is going on right now in 2021, the timelines that have been shifting back and forth, and the point of singularity, and the reason why Trump stepped away. I've seen it crystal clear, and I fully understand what is going on right now. So that's what I want to get into right now. The potential of what would have happened with the Trump 2021 timeline that was unseen to us, but suspected by us, but it has been confirmed over and over and over and over again to me in my ayahuasca experiences. I have gone deep, I have gone hard, and as a result, my body has started to change. Like, it's just like really just, everything is just changing, and it's changing for the better. And there's something I wanted to talk about as well, focusing on yourself to make sure that when other people interact with you, then you're in the highest frequency, because that is so very important. So again, apologies to the Patreons for not being consistent with the content. Number 2, thank you so much for continuing to support us while we go through this time of not only transition, but also self-realization and self-improvement. Because I feel that if I would have done shows over the last month, the frequency would have been at a low level. Therefore, your frequency would have been at a low level too. I needed to raise my own frequency first and foremost before I can come out here and raise your frequency. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to raise your frequency right here on Beyond the Veil. Mrs. Geo, what's going on with you?
I was just going to say, I feel the exact same way. I was at a not a pretty low place. I wouldn't even say it was a low place as much as the frequency was just a lot lower than it should be, and a lot lower than it is now. And because of some of the changes that we've made over the past month in our personal lives, we've been feeling so much better that it's raised the energy of the entire house. And so, like, even the cats don't feel the need to, go outside as much. They want to stay inside near us a lot more. It's the energy of the house has changed since you started the whole cycle of rebirth. You got it started for us, and then the rest of the house just kind of followed from there. But I can definitely feel the change in your energy has helped me change as well. So thank you.
Good. So we had a couple of situations hit us, back to back, just one thing after another. I'm going to harp on about this for a long time because it's very, very important for people to understand this. The Bath and Body Works Wallflower plugins, they're very, very, very dangerous and very toxic to cats, very toxic to children as well. They're toxic to human beings too. I'm not going to talk about what's going on, legally, litigiously with that situation. However, I do want to say this, that Sekhmet got toxicity poison because we've been using these for years, never had any problems, but we had one that malfunctioned, a brand new one. It was not only a brand new refill, but it was also a brand new unit itself. Malfunctioned, she got poisoned, she wound up sick for about 12 days. Lesions in the mouth, ulcerations. Lesions, ulcerations in the mouth, vomiting, all kinds of stuff like that. So we had that to deal with. As soon as that cleared up, Cherie broke her foot and broke her heel bone on top of that. Yeah. And so that was a really, really rough situation to go through because she's had a couple of surgeries in the past on her shoulder, and a heel bone injury is a pretty serious injury. However, what we did is we both focused our energies. We went to the ER, and at the ER, he said, this is really gnarly, and this is going to require surgery, and it's probably going to be 1 to 2 years until you're back on your feet. So what did we do?
Oh, we focused our intention.
We focused our intention. What we did is we sat down together and we put our heads together, and we focused our intention on manifesting a more positive timeline for this situation here. And we focused our energy around the foot. And this was about a week to 10 days before we got in to see with the ortho. So we were focusing on manifesting a reality to where the foot does not need surgery. I was in there actually moving bones around, putting bones back together energetically, and repiecing things. So we went to the ortho, and the ortho said, this does not need surgery. And as a matter of fact, doing surgery would do more harm than good. This is going to heal on its own. You're going to be back on your feet around April 1st, and around April 15th, you're going to be out of the boot. And everything should be smooth sailing from there. I mean, of course, after not walking on it for about 6 to 8 weeks, there's going to be a little bit of weirdness. But that's the reason why she's downstairs in the bedroom right now, because she hasn't been able to walk. However, she's been scooting around on her knee scooter literally all over the house. And I went out the other night, and she actually came upstairs and cleaned out the cat box. And I'm like, Cherie, do not come upstairs and clean out the cat box, okay? I'll take care of the cat box, no worries. But I think it just goes to show, in my humble opinion, that we can manifest a positive timeline within our own sphere. Some of you may have heard this from some of my Facebook rants before, but this is what's been going on over the last month, which has really brought the frequency really, really low. And especially considering the fact that Trump just stepped away. He stepped away from everything that that happened, and that really brought a really low frequency and a really heaviness into my heart. And I started to question, who is he? Was he really who we thought he was? Et cetera, et cetera. Then I went deeper into the ayahuasca realm, and as I went deeper into the ayahuasca realm, what happened is I started to fully understand exactly what he was seeing, exactly what he knew as who he was. He most definitely has access to looking glass technology. He most definitely has access to technology that his uncle John Trump developed. John Trump, for those of you that don't know, was a physicist, I believe, under the Nixon administration, who was tasked with going over to Serbia to get Nikola Tesla's work and see if there's any viable applications for Nikola Tesla's work.
I believe it was Nixon and Carter, actually.
Nixon and Carter. Okay.
Yeah.
So he went and he got all of Nikola Tesla's work, and he told the government, no, there's no viable solution. There's nothing here we can use. But I think he was lying to him, and I think that he developed some technology, and this is what I've been seeing. And what he's seen through this technology, and what I've seen in the ayahuasca realm, I mean, I've been connected to the Sophia AI. I've been connected to the Tyler AI. Cherie's been connected to the Tyler AI. We've been connected to our people on the other side. I have been meeting people here in my own sphere here in a way to help better myself and raise my own frequency. And they're like, damn, you are protected by something major. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, I know. That's just the way we do it. I'm like, I know protection. Nobody knows protection like me. I have the best protection. I'll tell you a little more about that story here in just a second. But before we jump into that, what I wanted to talk about is the two situations that happened. We had, number one, the Sekhmet kitty, and it was the most horrible situation because I didn't know if she was going to die or not. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have these Bath & Body Works wallflowers, get them out of your houses. I cannot stress this enough. She also had signs of asthma. And they've always wanted to go outside, like first thing in the morning. I want to go outside. I want to go outside. I want to go outside. And
even before the sun comes up.
Even before the sun comes up. And we didn't realize, but she had signs of asthma in her chest, and it was from the Bath and Body Works wallflowers. We're breathing a whole lot better now that we got those things out of the house. They made the house smell really nice, no doubt about it. But we're breathing a whole lot better. The cats are breathing better, and I'm noticing they're not wanting to go outside as much anymore. And I think it's because we got rid of all of those. So what we did is, to speed up the healing, is we used AyaLife. AyaLife is our CBD oil, and I've realized there's so many amazing applications for the CBD oil, and also with Cherie's leg, with your foot. The inflammation from the broken foot was bad. And it still is pretty bad.
It was really bad.
I mean, if you see it, you'll go, oh my God.
It's still bruised.
It's it's still bruised. But she goes through these inflammation spells, and she's had so many NSAIDs in her system. Forgive me for speaking for you as if you're not here, but you have had so many inflammation issues that it's caused kidney damage because of all the NSAIDs they've given you your entire life. So what happened? How did you use the AyaLife?
I first started using the AyaLife on your command. You were kind of the guy that I kind of had. Yeah, well, because
I command thee to use AyaLife.
It's like the 10 Commandments of BTV. The first commandment: thou must use AyaLife. And use it often. No, but you really wanted to avoid the NSAIDs. That was like a big thing for you, because I'd had so many kidney issues and so many urinary tract problems and infections and things like that, that you were telling me, baby, it's not worth it at any, it's not worth it for any amount of pain relief that you get from these anti-inflammatories. Here, I'm going to find something that works for you. And we tried a bunch of different CBD oils online, because at the time I was seeing a doctor that I couldn't really, they were not supportive of THC being in my urine. So I kind of had to avoid it for a little bit. I don't have to now, thank goodness. But back then it was a requirement that I avoid THC. And so I told him, we have to make sure it doesn't have any THC in it. And we even had a few times where, what we got was actually contaminated with THC. And that could have caused problems for me. And we're just glad we caught it in time. But so he went through the gamut trying to find a CBD oil that worked. The other ones either had no effect whatsoever, or they tasted so bad. They either tasted like an alcohol or gasoline type of taste, or they tasted like a freshly mowed lawn, is what I told Chris. I was like, I was wiping my tongue off on my shirt. I was like, that was bad. That's bad. It tastes like grass. And he's like, grass like marijuana? I'm like, no, grass like in bad, like a lawn. And so he was really happy to have found something that finally, whenever he mixed it with some coconut oil, it worked for me. It didn't taste bad. And we added the flavoring later, but I used that by itself for a little bit. It did seem to help with the inflammation, but not a whole lot. I wasn't using it that often because it wasn't helping that much. It was after an ayahuasca experience. Maybe you want to talk about the ayahuasca experience that you had that kind of changed things for us, that added the secret ingredient that was necessary in order to make iLife what it is today. Do you want to go into that, or do you want me to talk about it?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the plants literally will tell you.
Hold on. Sorry.
That's okay.
This is a nightmare. It's a litigious nightmare. It literally is. Okay, go
Poor
ahead.
baby.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, so he did ayahuasca one time, and he uses ayahuasca like as a utilitarian process. He uses it to figure out answers to the problems that we face in our everyday lives. And so he asked the plants, help her. What can we do to make this work even better for her? And they kept telling him the BCAP, and he's like, yeah, I didn't use enough BCAP we didn't use enough BCAP in this brew. And they're like, no, the BCAP, put that with the CBDs. And he came out of it going, we have to mix them. And I'm like, we have to mix what? He said the CBD and the BCAP. And I was like, wow, let me look that up and see if that'll work. But yeah, that should work. And so we added the BCAP, and within 3 or 4 days, I went from having to use NSAIDs at least 3 or 4 times a week to rarely using them, if at all, and then eventually not using them at all, because there's no need to. When you have the inflammation covered, there's no need to add.
That's true. I was giving her a quarter bottle at a time. So the quarter bottle at a time, it was reducing the inflammation just like that. And she would go from this really, really heightened pain into, okay, now it's bearable. So ayalife.com, ayalife.com is the website. And yeah, your pain management doctor. We need to give ayalife to your new pain management doctor.
Yeah, we do.
See if he will also, just like the one up in Idaho, will also start giving it to his patients.
Hold the flyers.
I am 99% sure that he will as soon as he tries it. So ayalife.com. And of course, we have a coupon code for BTV Tribe out there. It's called BTV Tribe. Buy one, get one free. What you do is you go to the cart, put 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever you want, multiples of 2, and then type in coupon code BTV Tribe here. And you get buy one, get one free. So I've got 4 bottles in the cart right now. But anyways, that was just kind of a demonstration on how to use the coupon code. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to point out one thing about both of these instances where we were using the iLife in order to manifest an intention. I guess I'll go more into this whenever we're talking about the research that I've done into the universe and the 3 elements of the universe. That might not be tonight because we may not have time, in your opinion. But
I'm willing to do 5-6 hours. It's just a matter of how long can you do?
I don't know if I could do 5 or 6 hours.
I'm fine.
But I'm going to go with her as long as I can, for sure. But I was just going to say, when you're using plants, and which is alchemy, when you're using alchemy, you have to use it.
Hey, don't give out the secrets on iLife.
Okay,
it's alchemy. It's all alchemy. I mean, that's what it is.
All of it's alchemy.
I'm an alchemist. You know,
Yeah.
I hear some people that are like, I can't believe you're using plants for spiritual gnosis. It's like, I can't believe you're not using alchemy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, that's the very
Exactly.
definition of alchemy, is taking the chemical structures of everything and changing them into something else to make something else. It's not turning lead
Right.
into gold. You know, that's a fool's path. And the reason for that is because if your consciousness level is so low that you're going to sit in your basement chanting over a piece of lead, hoping that it turns to gold for personal gain, then you're going to be stuck on that path. You've got to have a higher
Right.
consciousness to understand alchemy. So that first level of alchemy is a trap. The second level is understanding more and more and more. But it's essentially taking all of these different components, putting them together, making something new out of them, or transforming them, or transforming the components of the body, like we transform the components of your foot, and then wound up going to the ortho, and the ortho said, nope, no surgery needed whatsoever. Everything's going to be just fine. And he's like, believe me, I know heel injuries. Nobody knows heel injuries like me. I know the best heel injuries out there.
Such a dork. Okay, so alchemy.
And that goes for CBDs too. Nobody knows CBDs like I do. We've got the best CBDs. They're 99.
No one knows CBDs like
Nobody
us.
knows CBDs like we do. They're 99% pure. Nobody out
They're
there.
99%
Very,
pure.
very few people have 99% pure. Like we take the time for the process. But go ahead, please.
Complicated business, folks.
Complicated business.
So, I'll just give away this part of the research that I've done, and that's the 3 things that make up the universe, according to Hermes Trismegistus in the Hermetic corpus. It was called the Corpus Hermeticum, if you want to look it up. The 3 elements that make up the universe are alchemy, which is plants and things like that. And not just plants, but the mixing of plants with the human body, or with the body of an animal, or with another plant to make something completely new. Astrology, which everybody knows what that is. And then theurgy. And I don't know if you knew what theurgy was, Chris, but theurgy is another word for magic. And in order to make magic, you have to have the other 2 elements, the astrology and the alchemy. In order to have the alchemy, you have to have the astrology and the theurgy. And in order to have the theurgy, you have to have the other 2. They all work together as a triune. And so when we were using this ayahuasca, when we were using the Eye Alive to heal both Sekhmet with her stomach issues and the ulcers in her mouth and all of that.
Oh, as soon as we started giving it to Sekhmet, she just
took off.
completely started changing. She was very upset with us, though, because we had to literally give her 5 different droppers in her mouth, because the doctor had given us 4 different medications, including pain medication, and then also we added the Eye of Life to that, and that had to be done 4 times a day. I was giving her an entire dropper full. There's really no, even with animals, there's no limit on how much you can give them. Within reason, of course,
It's relatively safe.
An entire dropper full in her mouth with all of her other meds. She hated me by the end of it, but when she started to wane back over into feeling better, she loved us both so much. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please go ahead.
I think she realized that we were helping her by what we were doing. But the most important thing about all of it, especially when it came to the heel bone, because according to, what people think of as reality, you can't change broken bones. You can't mend broken bones with your mind. That's impossible. What you can do, though, is you can utilize alchemy, theurgy, and astrology, and use all 3 together to create a healing process. So you're literally going in there and changing the code of the body and creating and transmuting broken bones into broken bones that aren't broken in exactly the same place as they were before. So one of the elements of magic is that you can never, it takes something being destroyed in order to create. You can't get something from nothing. Nothing ever dies. It is only transformed. Nothing is ever destroyed. It is only transformed. And so that is incredibly important to realize, because that is why you can't change a broken bone into a mended one. You can change a broken bone into a broken bone that's broken differently. And when we realized this, I think we realized it subconsciously long before we realized it consciously. But you can actually change things to be something else that's the same, but different in its intention or different in its meaning. So instead of meaning 1 to 2 years off of my feet and a ridiculous amount of pain, because orthopedic surgery sucks, I'm going to deal with 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3
Real
more
quick,
weeks.
for people
point.
are asking, what's the promo code? It's BTV
Oh, yeah.
Tribe, all lowercase, one word. BTV Tribe, all lowercase, one word. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty much it. I was just going to say, you have to have all 3 of those elements working together. And then when you realize that you can transform into the same thing except a different outcome, because the outcome was radically different, even though the status of having a broken bone in my foot never changed. It was broken in a different way. And you can actually change your body to be a different way. You just have to understand cause and effect, and you have to understand the balance. You can't have an imbalance whenever you're doing that alchemical work or because alchemy also overdose and underdose are another example of alchemy, where you have to have everything in balance. Everything needs to be balanced. And so that's another thing about iLife, is that we have recently upped the amount of active ingredient from 350 milligrams to 500 milligrams, which was huge for us. So, that
we were
changed it.
We were
for a
able
lot
to
of people.
lower our costs. So instead of raising the prices, we just raised the formula.
Oh, of course.
Which, my business-minded friends are like, dude, what's wrong with you?
The hell's wrong with you?
You're supposed to raise your prices at the same time. I'm like, yeah, but I'm saving on materials. And he's like, yeah, but dude, you're offering a higher quality product. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, but it's something out of love.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. This iLife, it's alchemical. It also is magic as well. We send them out with a crystal. And these crystals are energetically attached to a lot of ancient sites in ancient Egypt. I mean, not in ancient Egypt, in current Egypt, but they're ancient Egyptian sites. We put one at the Temple of Isis in the Holy of Holies. We put one in the bottomless pit of the Great Pyramid. We put one in the Queen's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. We put one at the Temple of Hatshepsut. We put one in the north, central, and southern parts of the Nile. We put them in Sekhmet's temple. We put them in the Temple of Hathor, and we've got it all on video. We've played the videos in the past here, so we're not going to play the videos now, but we've energetically connected these to some very powerful sites. Then we've created a network of energy with everybody that has one of these crystals, and we also charge these crystals up with one of the original crystals that we took and we held in our pockets. We took about 3 of them with us, so we have some backups. We had them in our pockets, and we were infusing the energies together while we were dropping these crystals from these 3 original crystals and putting them all together. Then every new crystal we get, we infuse with these 3 different crystals. We wash them first and foremost to clear them out of all energies. We put them in the moonlight as well to charge them up. Then we infuse them with the healing energy, and then we also infuse them with the energy of everybody that has one of these crystals. And what I feel that is happening is that it's not only an alchemical process, but it's also a process on a magic level, because when the items ship, they ship with the crystals in them. So they're in the crystals for several days until they get to their destination. And I think that the crystals themselves are charging up the iLife as well with all of that energy. So it's making it something different. Now, again, my business-minded friends are like, dude, that's wacky, okay? That's not a good selling point. You need to completely revamp your website. You need to make it more medical. You need to have doctors, all the doctors that you have using it. You need testimonials from them. You need this and that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, this isn't for everybody. This is just for the BTV tribe. This is just for those of the higher frequency and higher consciousness out there. Even though I have given it to people, like my personal trainer from a couple years ago back in Spokane, she injured herself. She started using it and had remarkable effects from it. But I would like to get it out to a wider market. But realistically, it's for those with a higher consciousness, and it raises the consciousness as well as does things for the body. But there's so many components to this that people can't quite figure out. Why is it that ILife works better than anything else out there, and that anything else out there that they've tried? It's not only the alchemical makeup of it, but it's also the infusion of the energies that go into it. So it's a very, very, very unique.
Yes, it is. It is a very, very unique thing. I'm not even going to call it a product, because it's not a product. It's become one of the staples of my regimen every single day. It's 3 times a day. I use it when I first wake up and I'm getting my morning caffeine. And then after lunch, I always take it after a meal, because it always does make me sleep. Even the higher doses, some people are writing us and telling us that they're having trouble sleeping from the higher doses. And so I told her,
it can do that, because it can boost your energy, or it can make you sleepy.
It makes me sleepy. So
what I feel that it does is it brings you back to balance. But if you're finding that you're taking that the higher doses are making you too jittery, then back off on the dose a little bit. If you find that the higher doses are making you too sleepy, back off on the dose a little bit. You have to find your own dose, because everybody is unique. And everybody is different. For example, I have a friend, and his kid has all kinds of problems, seizures, MS. The poor thing, she spent 90% of her life in the hospital, like literally. And I found the most respect for this guy, because I didn't know any of this. And I was working with him at this company, My Patriot Supply, mypatriotsupply.com for survival supplies. Quick plug for them. The CEO is a dear friend of mine. He's not paying me to plug it. I just love him so much that I'm plugging mypatriotsupply.com. But he was one of the warehouse managers, and he would work 12-hour shifts, just because, not because he was obligated to, but because he wanted to make sure that all the customers were taken care of and that everything was working well in the warehouse. So he would dedicate himself to doing that. I had a lot of respect for him just for that. Then I found out that his daughter is also suffering from this and is spending 90% of her life, and she's only like 6, in the hospital. So he would go from working 12 hours, to the hospital, sleep in a hospital chair for a few hours with his daughter, then come back to work and do it all over again. And I was like, oh my God, dude.
That is so hard.
I was like, I had no idea. I was like, you are getting a lifetime subscription free of ILife. Okay.
Yeah.
I have that much respect for you. You've been a really good friend, and he's taking time to help me out, and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just going to send you the ILife for free. And he started using it on his daughter instead of the other CBD oil. And she has improved so much. Her seizures have gone down. She's been more functional. She's been spending less time in the hospital. It's been incredible. And he called me up and he's like, dude, I got to pay you for this stuff, man. He's like, I just can't accept this for free. And I'm like, no, look, okay, this is my gift to the universe. Okay. So you pay it forward out there, but I want to help your daughter, and we're helping your daughter. And I'm just, that is thanks for me, because it's infusing me with the positive energy that she's experiencing and that you're experiencing, because you're having to spend less time at the hospital and you're spending more quality time with your daughter, and she's spending less time suffering. So again, that alchemical, but he's like, dude, I don't understand. He's like, I've tried a lot of other stuff and I've never seen anything happen like this. He's not as esoteric as we are, so I didn't go into the whole, explanation, but he does tune into the show every once in a while. But so you know who you are if you're tuned into the show right now. That's what's going on. There's a magical element to everything in the background. But it's because Hermes Trismegistus, thrice born. Why don't you go into that real quick?
A lot of people think thrice born because, you're talking about the 3 Hermes, Hermes, and then, which was Thoth, and then Hermes as in the messenger Mercury, and then Hermes Trismegistus was the 3rd one. But in actuality, Hermes Trismegistus means the three parts of the wisdom of the universe: alchemy, the chemical makeup of people, animals, and things, knowing how to alter the chemical and even the atomic makeup in order to achieve an effect that is different than the natural state, and then back again to the natural state if that's what you prefer. And then you've got your astrology, which I've been into for years and years and years, but I never saw the connection between the astrology and the alchemy until very, very recently, which is when I started doing this research. And I've been listening to a lot of Terence McKenna. I've been listening to a lot of, a lot of the Gnostic texts being read aloud, because I can think a lot clearer whenever I'm actually reading it and hearing it at the same time. It really makes a lot more sense. And the Gnostics go into this too, because, they were the ones that wrote and kept safe the Gnostic texts like Hermes Trismegistus and the Corpus Hermeticum, and all of these Hermetic and Gnostic texts were very carefully guarded, in some cases for a very long time, under horrible conditions, while the Roman Catholic Church was trying to destroy all this information back in the 4th, 5th, 6th centuries. There were people that were scurrying around underground, moving these texts here and there and hiding them here and then hiding them there. And finally, it wasn't until the 1600s and 1700s, I'm sorry, the 1500s and 1600s, that the people that were the most wealthy people there, the Medicis, the other noble Italian families, they had the opportunity when they went into the Holy Land to grab all these back in 900 to 1100 AD when they did the First Crusade. That was when they grabbed a lot of these manuscripts, and they just had them at the Vatican Library. And because of the Medici's connections to the Vatican Library back in the 1500s, they were able to translate these works, get a hold of these works. They had all kinds of different things to choose from, but the very first thing they chose to translate was the Corpus Hermeticum, because they didn't really care about the other Gnostic stuff. What they really, really cared about was alchemy, astrology, and magic. They wanted to get to the magical rituals. They wanted to know all about this stuff. There was this huge renaissance of learning about these kinds of things back in the 15 and 1600s. And it was just this beautiful time where it wasn't, suddenly people were hearing things like, if you do not make yourself equal to God, then you cannot apprehend God, for like is known by like. Leap clear of all that is corporeal and make yourself that which is, that which is equal to that which is greatness beyond all measure. It was just such a beautiful way of thinking. Oh, I can be equal to God. It was like, it was unheard of for them to think of themselves as anything but a worm, in God's sight, that was going to be, thrown into hell at the first opportunity. As soon as they died, they would be horribly judged, and by this creator that sees you as a worm or a wretch or something to be disregarded or thrown away like trash. And no, they were being told, no, you have to make yourself equal to God, and you have to know Godhood in order to expand your consciousness to the point where you can use alchemy. And then you can use alchemy. You can't do that if you don't make yourself equal to the creator, because you have to become the creator in order to practice alchemy. So I'm going to hand it back over to you because I need to get a drink, and I think I've talked for long enough.
No problem.
So,
I think this is a great time to take a quick break, and cut the stream for, I mean, everybody watching live, we're still going to continue. So don't worry about that. Just for people watching the archives, head over to patreon.com/BTV Tribe for the remainder of this show. But again, if you don't want to sign up for the Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube channel here, youtube.com/Beyond the Veil. Click the notify button, click notify me of everything, and you'll be notified every time we go live, so you can catch the full shows. I figure that's a good, fair balance there, but we need to get into some information that is censored on YouTube, and that's what we're going to do on the other side and at the Patreon. So stay right there, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. And Cherie, I will come downstairs and grab whatever you need. Please don't get up, okay?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I love you, sweetheart. I love you, twin.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. She needs to stop doing that. You need to stay off that leg. Although she has a little knee scooter and she scoots around the house. And she's
I go way too fast with it.
She's like,
I do wheelies.
It's like, it reminds me of, that scene in The Shining where the kid's driving the bike around.
Sometimes when you're sleeping on the couch, you go, baby, because all you hear this behind you. And I think it creeps you out because you think of that, or you think of some kind of like horror movie where it's like somebody in a wheelchair with a knife or something and baby, is that you? Who else would it be?
All right, stay tuned.
Anyway, love you guys.
We will be right back.
All the conflict and strife throughout history, all the fear and hatred, served but one purpose: to keep my master's wheel turning. The coin is still turning.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before we go to break, we actually have a new track that we have not released yet. That's me and Cherie. So I think I'll go ahead and play this track for you guys while we were at break, and that actually gives me a little bit longer to be able to get Cherie everything that she needs. So this is I don't know if we're going to keep this in the YouTube archive or not, but this is something that I think you guys and gals will vibe with here. So it's me and Cherie doing our thing, and we did this about 2 years ago, and I just never finished it. And then now, all of a sudden, this all just came together, and we were like, okay, cool. So yeah, check this out. Ugh, I don't know how to put that on full screen. I know what to do. We'll just put this here.
Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna. 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 Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali. Kali,